ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavata Pravaha online course on the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the last 4 episodes, we have discussed the first 19 chapters of the 8th canto, and today we will discuss the last 5 chapters. Today is the last episode on the 8th canto. In the previous episode, we have seen how Lord Vamanadev appeared in the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj, and he has begged 3 steps of land from Bali. And Bali Maharaj told that, "Oh my dear boy, Brahmana, Brahmachari, you seem to be very less intelligent. You seem to be not having a proper understanding of your own self-interest. Why don't you accept something more? You have such small steps, and if you take only 3 steps of land, how will you survive? So take more, whatever you want." Then Vamanadev spoke a lot on the principles of satisfaction. And he says that if I am not satisfied with 3 steps of land, I won't be satisfied even if I get 3 worlds. So I am happy with whatever I have asked. Please give me whatever I have asked. Then Bali Maharaj said, "Okay, I will give you." Then Sukracharya gave 9 reasons why Bali Maharaj should not give charity to Vamanadev. Basically, Sukracharya said that this Vamanadev is not a dwarf Brahmana Brahmachari. He is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who has come to Bali Maharaj's sacrificial arena to usurp all the wealth of Bali and give it to the demigods. So Sukracharya recommended that Bali Maharaj take back his words, take back his promise, and do not give any charity to Vamanadev. So that's where we concluded in the previous episode. Now we will discuss based on the 20th chapter how Bali Maharaj gave 9 reasons to give charity to Vamanadev. So Bali Maharaj said that, "Oh Sukracharya, you are right that we have to protect our property, but still I prefer to give charity to this dwarf Brahmana Brahmachari because I am descendant of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad is a great devotee. How can I act in such a way that causes some infamy to my grandfather?" So he says that I am the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, the first reason. I am the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, and how can I withdraw my promise, and out of greed for money, that too, how can I withdraw my promise to protect my wealth? I consider it very heinous. So basically in this context we need to understand that just as Prahlad was a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, Bali is also a pure devotee. There are 2 kinds of devotees. One is Sadhana Siddha, second is Kripa Siddha. Sadhana Siddha devotees are those devotees who perfect their devotional service by following the prescribed rules and regulations of the process of Bhakti Yoga. But Kripa Siddha devotees they become perfect by the mercy of great devotees or the Supreme Lord. They may or may not have followed all the rules and regulations prescribed for them as a part of their practice of bhakti, but these devotees definitely have received the mercy of great souls, pure devotees, and thus they become perfect in their bhakti. So Bali Maharaj received blessings of Prahlad Maharaj, so he is a Kripa Siddha devotee. Actually, when Vamanadev entered the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj has spontaneously surrendered his complete self to Vamanadev. But because he was playing the role of a king of the demons, he could not offer obeisances or speak it out. But at heart, he has completely dedicated himself to Vamanadev. He was ready to give everything to Vamana. Although Sukracharya warned him that Vamanadev will take everything from you. He will not just take 3 steps of land, he will take the entire universe. So how will you live? You have to protect your livelihood. So although Sukracharya said so many things, Bali Maharaj was prepared to give everything because he developed that much devotion towards Vamanadev. The second reason is, if I speak a lie, that would be great sin. Oh my dear Guru, Sukracharya, you are asking me to lie now? And Sukracharya said that no problem, you can lie or you can take back your words also to protect your wealth. It's bona fide. But Bali Maharaj says, no, it is great sin. So he says that, Nahya satyat paro dharma iti hovacha bhurayam. Mother Earth can tolerate any kind of offense, but she cannot tolerate dishonesty or untruthfulness. If a person speaks a lie, Mother Earth does not feel happy with that person. So Bali Maharaj says, I cannot lie. This is the second reason. First reason is, I am the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. I have to act according to his great position. Second reason is, I should not lie. Third reason is, I fear cheating a Brahmana. He says that, Naham bibhemi nirayan nadhyanad asukhar navat nasthanachavanan mrityor yatha viprapralambanat. He says that, Naham bibhemi nirayan. Oh my dear Guru, I am not afraid of going to hell. And nadhanyat asukharnavat, I am not afraid of poverty. I can be poverty stricken, no problem. I am not afraid of asukha arnavat, means I am not afraid of an ocean of distress also. And I am not afraid of even death also, but I am afraid of cheating a Brahmana. He is a Brahmana. I have given him a promise that I will give him 3 steps of land. So how can I cheat him? How can I take back my words? I cannot do this. Fourth reason, he says that, after all, everything is temporary. This entire material world and our material body and our positions and possessions in this material world are completely temporary. So to retain one's temporary wealth, how can one give a promise to a Brahmana? So with an understanding that everything is temporary, I will give charity. Fifth reason, he says that there are so many historical examples. In the history, there were great souls like Shibi Maharaj and Dadhichi. Dadhichi has given his body completely so that the demigods can make a thunderbolt weapon out of the bones of Dadhichi and fight with Vritrasur. We have discussed this in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Dadhichi and Shibi Maharaj, all of them have sacrificed their bodies and lives for the welfare of others because of their charitable disposition. So I have to follow in the footsteps of such great souls. Even at the cost of becoming poverty stricken, it's worth that I sacrifice my wealth to fulfill my promise to this Brahmana. So I have to follow the examples of great souls. Next, sixth reason. Bali Maharaj says that, I am very much concerned about my fame. So I can give up other things, but I cannot give up my fame. I will become infamous as a person who denied charity to a brahmachari, to a Brahmana. So I cannot become infamous like that. So he says that time destroys everything. So time will destroy our wealth, time will destroy our body, our family members, everything. But one's reputation will be everlasting. Even if the person dies, he loses all wealth, the person's reputation will be there for several generations and several centuries to come. So Bali Maharaj says that I cannot compromise on this. Then 7th reason, he says that who will get a rare chance to offer charity to a Brahmana? Kshatriyas get chances to fight with an opponent on the battlefield, but more fortunate than that is to offer charity to a Brahmana. So I don't want to give up that opportunity. So this is a very rare chance. But internally Bali Maharaj was also thinking that this boy who has come is not an ordinary Brahmana or a Brahmachari. He is directly the Supreme Lord Vishnu. How can I give up this opportunity to give some charity to him? So next, 8th reason, he says that being poverty stricken is better. So that poverty is auspicious. If one becomes poverty stricken by engaging his wealth in some bad activities or unmentionable activities, then that is wrong. But if one becomes poverty stricken by dedicating his wealth towards Brahmanas and by giving that wealth in charity to the needy people, such a person is glorious. That kind of poverty is very auspicious. So one can become poverty stricken by offering charity. This is what Bali Maharaj says. And finally, in the ninth reason is, he says that the Lord Vishnu has personally come here to my home. So Vishnu is the husband of goddess of fortune. Now he is the wealthiest person, he is the supreme proprietor of the entire cosmic manifestation. When such an exalted personality comes to my house to accept little charity, why would I deny offering it to him? So Bali Maharaj was all prepared to offer charity, and he gave these 9 reasons. Then Sukracharya became extremely upset with his disciple. So he tried to protect his disciple and protect his disciple's wealth. But Sukracharya is just presenting some external dharma of protecting one's wealth. But Bali Maharaj is speaking on a spiritual plane. So basically, how can a person deny the order of a guru? He cannot deny. But Bali Maharaj is denying the order of his guru Sukracharya because his guru was teaching him to go against the Supreme Lord Vishnu. When a guru teaches that one should not surrender to the Supreme Lord, surrender to God, if his teachings are against bhakti, such a guru can be rejected also. So here Bali Maharaj preferred to reject Sukracharya, who was giving him advice against God. So Bali Maharaj, whatever he has done is totally justified. So Bali Maharaj was prepared to offer charity to Vamanadev, but Sukracharya became very upset and angry with his disciple, and he cursed Bali Maharaj. You have disobeyed my order, so I curse you to be deprived of wealth. So you will lose everything that you have. This is my curse. So then, despite the curse of Shukracharya, Bali Maharaj went forward and offered his charity to Vamanadev. First, Bali Maharaj washed the lotus feet of Vamanadev, and his wife Vindhyavali got a golden pot with water, and then Bali Maharaj washed the lotus feet of Vamanadev, and he started giving charity. And Bali Maharaj was praised by so many celestial beings like Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Siddhas, Charanas, and many other people praised the activity of Bali Maharaj. And then after accepting this charity from Bali Maharaj, Vamanadev smiled and he started expanding his size. Till now he was like just a small boy, a Brahmana boy, but Vamanadev started increasing his size. He was Vamana, means a dwarf Brahmana boy, but he became Trivikrama. From Vamana form, he took a Trivikrama form. Trivikrama is that form by which the Lord pervades the entire universe. And his body became so huge. And he in fact accommodated everything within the universe within his body. The Lord has a universal body. So he has expanded himself so huge that all the planetary systems and everything that is there in the universe appeared to be within his body only. So Lord expanded himself like that. In this context, Sukadeva Goswami describes the universal form of the Lord, where he says that the souls of the Lord are the lower planets, and the feet of the Lord is the surface of the globe, and his knees are the birds, the thighs are the air, and the waist is compared to 7 oceans, and his mind is the moon, and his chest is goddess of fortune, and his neck is the Vedas. So like that, so many other comparisons are given. So different elements of the universe are conceived to be different bodily limbs of the Lord. That's the universal form. And the Lord's celestial weapons, divine weapons, started offering prayers to Vamanadev, Trivikrama. And the associates of the Supreme Lord started offering obeisances to the Lord and offered prayers to the Lord. So then the Lord was appearing so beautiful, and he covered the entire universe. Vamanadev, in his form as Trivikrama, he covered the entire surface of the earth with one of his footsteps. And he covered the entire sky with his body. And he covered all the directions with his arms. His arms are all extending. He covered all the directions with his hands. And he covered the heavenly planets, upper planets, with his second step. So he did not find a place for the third step. So he covered the entire land, entire earth with his one step, and heaven with his second step. And his body is occupying the entire universe, and his hands are occupying all the directions. So there was no place, there was not even small spot left for Trivikrama to place his third foot. So the Lord occupied the entire universe within his 2 steps only. So that completes the 20th chapter. Now we will begin the 21st chapter, where we see a description that Lord Vamanadeva's toenails emanated such transcendental effulgence that defeated the effulgence of Brahmaloka also. Then various people came and worshipped Lord Vamanadeva as he extended his second leg to cover the upper planetary systems. And also even Lord Brahma took water from his water pot and washed the lotus feet of Trivikrama. So the water that washed the lotus feet of Trivikrama became the celestial Ganges river. The Ganges river is the water that washed the lotus feet of Vamanadev or Trivikrama. And it is also said that Lord Vamanadev pierced through the coverings of the universe, and the water of causal ocean, Karana Samudra, entered the universe in the form of Ganges river. And in another context, Ganges river is said to be the liquid form of Lord Narayana. So the Ganges river is directly the liquid form of Lord Narayana. So these are the 3 versions. So Ganges is the water that washed Vamanadeva's feet, and Ganges is the water of causal ocean that entered the universe when Vamanadeva pierced the coverings of the universe, and Ganges is the liquid form of Narayana. All 3 versions are correct. In fact, Prabhupada says that the Ganges river that is coming down is a mixture of all these 3. So then Vamanadeva, after causing the descent of Mother Ganga, Ganges river, he reduced his form. He became normal Vamana. Trivikrama became Vamana now. Then everybody worshipped Lord Vamanadev, all the demigods and different personalities started offering prayers and worshipped Lord Vamanadev. And even Jambavan also, the king of all bears, who assisted Lord Ramachandra in his various pastimes. So Jambavan declared a great festival for Lord Vamana's victory. Jambavan even circumambulated Lord Vamanadev. So in this way, Vamanadev has cheated Bali Maharaj. He said, I will take 3 steps from you, give me that charity. But Vamanadeva has occupied entire universe with 2 steps only. And there was no place for 3rd step. So when Vamanadeva became very small, like a Brahmana, Brahmachari, then all the demons became extremely angry on Vamanadeva. They started speaking against Vamana. He is not Brahmana, he is not a Brahmachari, he is Lord Vishnu in disguise. He has cheated our master Bali, because Bali Maharaj was conducting a sacrifice and he has taken a vow not to punish anybody in the sacrifice. So Vamanadeva has taken advantage of Bali Maharaj's silence, and he has cheated Bali, and all the demons have taken their weapons and they wanted to attack Bali Maharaj, attack Vamanadeva. So when the demons were attacking Vamanadeva, the Lord's associates forbade the demons. They started even killing the demons also. So there were Nanda, Sunanda, Jaya, Vijaya, Garuda, Jayanta, and many other great personalities are there who were the associates of Lord Vishnu, Lord Vamana. So they started defeating the demons. They started even killing the demons also. Then Bali Maharaj spoke to the demons. My dear demons, time is not in favor of us. By the will of providence, by the will of the Supreme Lord, everything will be taken away from us. So it is not appropriate for you to fight now. So he told them, and O Viprachiti, O Rahu, O Nemi, please stop fighting. By our efforts we cannot do anything. And he speaks a shloka. In the 22nd shloka he says that Balena Sachivair Buddhya Durgair Mantraushadadibhim Samadibhir Upayaischa Kalam Natyeti Vaijanah. Here Bali Maharaj says that Balena Sachivair Buddhya, by our power, by our Sachiva means ministers or advisors, by the power of our own body, or by the power of our advisors, or by our own intelligence, or by our forts or mantras or drugs or herbs, in any way we cannot overcome the time factor, because time is a form of the Lord. So you cannot surpass the influence of time. Now time is not in favor of us. At one point, time was favoring the Devatas. So they were occupying the heavenly planets. Later, time factor favored the demons. So we occupied the heavenly planets. Now, Now time is not favoring us, so we are defeated in the hands of Vamanadev. So please understand the functionings of time and please don't become angry and fight with the Lord's associates. So in this way, Bali Maharaj controlled the demons, and the demons then entered lower planets by the order of Bali Maharaj. And thereafter, Vamanadev indicated his servant Garuda. So Garuda understood the heart of Vamanadev, and he arrested Bali Maharaj at this stage. So he arrested Bali Maharaj with Varuna Pasha, the ropes of Varuna. And there was a great roar and lamentation throughout the universe. Lord Vamanadev then addressed Bali Maharaj, "My dear Bali, you have promised me that you will give me 3 steps of land. But I have occupied the entire universe with 2 steps only. Where is the 3rd step? So because you have not fulfilled your promise, I am arresting you." So Vamanadev not only cheated Bali Maharaj, Vamanadev even arrested Bali Maharaj also. But this cheating and this arrest of Bali was only to bless Bali Maharaj. So that will come in the next chapter. So Vamanadev told that Bali Maharaj, you have not fulfilled your promise. That's why I am arresting you. So where is the place for my 3rd step? So you have promised me 3 steps. So now for this mistake of promising to give charity beyond your capacity, you do not have enough property, but still you have spoken so great about yourself. I will give more than what you have asked for also, but you do not have sufficient property to fulfill this promise also. When I asked you for 3 steps, you told me to take more, but you don't have even 3 steps of land also. I have occupied the entire universe with 2 steps only. Now, for this offense, for this sin of giving a false promise, you will have to go to Niraya, hell. The word Niraya means hell, but the Niraya can also be read as Nilaya. Nilaya means the Supreme Lord's residence, Vaikuntha. So when the Lord said, "Oh Bali, go to Niraya," he also indicated that, "Oh Bali, go to my Nilaya, go to Vaikuntha planet." So externally the meaning is you will have to go to hell for not fulfilling your promise, but internally the Lord meant that, "Oh my dear devotee, you have given everything that you have for my pleasure, so you can come to my abode. I will give you my abode to you." That's what Vamanadev meant internally, but externally he wanted to thoroughly humiliate and embarrass Bali Maharaj and thus test his tolerance. So then Bali Maharaj, then Vamanadev told Bali Maharaj that, "Bali, you were very falsely proud of your greatness because you were thinking that you are a great charitable person. You were very proud of your property, proud of your charitable disposition. Now, out of that pride only you have given a false promise. You were very confident, overconfident in giving this promise. So now you will have to go to hell." When he said like this, Bali Maharaj started responding. So that completes the 21st chapter and we enter the 22nd chapter. In the 22nd chapter, Bali Maharaj responded to the words of Vamanadev. Vamanadev thoroughly humiliated and embarrassed Bali Maharaj by not only cheating him, by even arresting him. Vamanadev initially spoke the principles of satisfaction. I am just satisfied with 3 steps of land. A person who is not satisfied with 3 steps of land will not be satisfied even if he gets 3 worlds. Now Vamanadev received 3 worlds now, but still he is not satisfied. He is demanding for the 3rd step from Bali Maharaj. So Lord spoke dharma earlier, but he acted against what he has spoken also. All this is done by the Supreme Lord Vamanadev only to glorify Bali. So Bali Maharaj said finally that, "My dear Vamanadev, I promised you 3 steps of land and you have occupied the entire universe with 2 steps. Now I must give you the 3rd step. I still have a place. The place is, put your 3rd step on my head. So please place your divine lotus foot on my head." Now somebody may question that this Bali Maharaj has given entire property to uh, to Vamanadev, and Vamanadev's 2 steps occupied the entire universe. So, how can this little head of Bali Maharaj, what is Bali Maharaj's head in comparison to the entire Bhumandala, and what is Bali Maharaj's head in comparison to the entire heavenly planets? So, Vamanadev has occupied entire Bhumandala with 1 foot, and entire heavenly planets, upper planets with another foot, and Bali Maharaj is offering only his little head as a 3rd step. So, it's not proportional. So, how can we say like this? How can we say that Bali Maharaj's offering of his head is sufficient for the 3rd step? So, the explanation given by the Acharyas is, the owner or the proprietor of a property is greater than the property itself. So, when Vamanadev offered his head to Bali Maharaj, he is considered superior to all the property that Vamanadev has already taken from him. So, we need to understand that when we offer ourselves, our heart, our body, our mind and our everything to the Supreme Lord, the Lord is more satisfied. When we offer ourselves to Krishna, Krishna is more satisfied than when we offer our property to Krishna. There are some devotees who offer their property to the Lord. Okay, they have say 100 crores property, they have donated 50 crores property to the Lord, to a temple. So that is like one way. But there are some devotees who dedicate themselves completely to the Lord. I offer myself to you. So the owner of the property is considered superior to property. So Bali Maharaj's head is sufficient for the 3rd step of Vamanadev. So Bali Maharaj very cleverly, intelligently offered his head to Vamanadev. In this way, Bali Maharaj is doing Atma Nivedanam. He is offering his own self to Vamanadev. So Vamanadev is glorified by Bali Maharaj as Uttama Shloka. Oh Lord, oh Uttama Shloka. So you are glorified in choicest poetry, you are the greatest Lord. So I offer myself to you completely. And Bali Maharaj's address of Vamanadev as Uttama Shloka has multiple meanings. So he is joking with the Lord in one sense, that you have come to me in the pretense of begging. Okay, you have come in the form of a Brahmana and you become Trivikrama. Vamana, you have come in the form of Vamana and you became Trivikrama. That is pretense. And you are the wealthiest beggar. Although you are the husband of goddess of fortune, all wealth belongs to you. You have come to me to beg. Okay, your glories, you are glorified in choicest poetry. Oh Lord, you are Uttama Shloka. So you are doing very praiseworthy activities. So it's like there is some kind of joke in it. And also you are apparently doing disgraceful acts. You spoke on the principles of satisfaction, later you contradicted your own principles of satisfaction. You are not satisfied with 3 steps. And you cheated me, and later you have sided the demigods. Actually, the demigods are considered to be mixed devotees, and Bali Maharaj was a pure devotee. So Bali was pure devotee and demigods were mixed devotees. In this pastime, apparently Vamanadev was taking the side of mixed devotees and cheating pure devotee. But ultimately, actually speaking, Lord Vamanadev has cheated the mixed devotees and blessed his pure devotee. So, Vamanadev has bestowed pure bhakti and pure love of Godhead on Bali Maharaj, and he has only given heavenly planets to mixed devotees, the demigods. So apparently, Lord Vamanadev was taking the side of demigods who were mixed devotees and cheating a pure devotee Bali Maharaj, but it is actually the other way around, and Bali understood the whole thing. And also Bali Maharaj took pleasure in understanding the Lord's purpose of glorifying him. So now Bali Maharaj was not only cheated by Vamanadev, he was even arrested by Vamanadev, and Vamanadev even told Bali Maharaj, you will go to hell for not fulfilling your promise. So when Bali Maharaj was told like this, Bali Maharaj understood that Vamanadev is doing all these things to test my tolerance. He is provoking me, he is agitating me, he is trying to invoke my anger, but I would not become angry. I would only tolerate everything that he does to me. I will just patiently remain there. So he wanted to prove the qualities of tolerance and patience and dedication and surrender and soberness of a devotee to the entire world. He wanted to announce all these qualities of a pure devotee. So that's why Lord is doing this with me. So Bali Maharaj exactly understood the intentions of Vamanadev. So he was not upset. So then Bali Maharaj said, my dear Vamanadev, I am offering you my I am offering my head to you for your third step. So I don't fear anything else. I don't fear going to hell. I don't fear falling from my position. I don't fear being arrested. I don't fear losing all my wealth. But I fear infamy. I should not become infamous that I have not fulfilled my promise to a Brahmana. So I accept my head as the third step. I accept myself. In the fourth shloka of this chapter, Bali Maharaj says that Pumsam shlagyatamam manye dandam arhattam arpitam yamna mata pita bhrata suhurdas chadishantihi. For all men, I consider the most exalted punishment is that which is given by you. Oh Lord, if you punish somebody, that punishment is the best punishment. Mother may punish sometimes, and father may punish a mischievous child sometimes, and many other people, teacher may punish, so many other people may punish, but the best of all punishments is received by a person by the Supreme Lord. When the Supreme Lord is punishing a devotee, he does it out of love. Here, what is the specific punishment that Vamanadev has given Bali Maharaj? Bali Maharaj, although he is a pure devotee, he had a slight tinge of pride that he is a very charitable person. So Vamanadev took away that slight tinge of pride by proving that Bali Maharaj cannot be charitable. Bali Maharaj's quality of being a charitable person is actually not a great quality in him, in the sense that he would not be able to fulfill his promise. So Vamanadev tried to prove that he cannot offer everything that another person asks from him. So in that way, the Lord kind of subdued the pride by taking away everything of Bali Maharaj. But apart from this slight tinge of this kind of identity, Bali Maharaj has completely surrendered himself to the Lord. Now that thing is also gone. Bali Maharaj is totally surrendered devotee. So now the punishment that Vamanadev has given by arresting Bali Maharaj and telling him that you will go to hell. So this kind of punishment is actually greatest mercy of the Lord. So there is one beautiful shloka in the 10th canto. Krishna says personally, Yasyaham anugrahnami harishye tadhanam shanaihi. He says, Krishna says that when I am especially merciful towards one of my devotees, I will take away all his wealth. When all his wealth is taken away, then his associates, his relatives and friends will leave him, his family members will leave him, and he will just exclusively surrender himself to me. So in this way, I will give my mercy towards my devotee by taking away everything from him. Another devotee, in the 11th canto, 23rd chapter, we see the example of Avanti Brahmana. Avanti Brahmana also had a lot of wealth, but the Lord has slowly taken away all the wealth of Avanti Brahman, and he was totally abandoned by all his family members and relatives and friends. So Avanti Brahman has taken exclusive shelter of Lord Vishnu. Similarly, Bali Maharaj's entire wealth has been taken away by Vamanadev. So Bali Maharaj completely surrendered himself to Vamanadev. So this is an anugraha. Oftentimes Acharyas quote this shloka, Yasyaham anugrahanami harishye tadhanam shanaihi. I will gradually remove the wealth from my devotee so that he can completely surrender unto me. Because that wealth sometimes comes as an obstacle. So because of wealth, some devotees may think that I am very charitable, I am a very wealthy person, I can show compassion on anyone to any extent. But the Lord does not want even that kind of pride or feeling also in his devotee. On the other hand, there is Sudama. Sudama was a Brahmana friend of Lord Krishna. So he thought that I can live without any property. So he had that kind of identity that I am very detached person. So Lord Krishna has given all wealth to Sudama so that Sudama does not have that identity of being a very detached person. So Sudama was actually relishing his poverty-stricken condition, just as Bali Maharaj was relishing his wealthy situation and thinking that I can give charity to anyone and everyone. So he confidently told Vamanadev, why are you asking only 3 steps of land? You take whatever you want, I will give you villages, I will give this, I will give that. But Vamanadev proved that Bali Maharaj cannot even give 3 steps of land also. In this way, he humbled and humiliated Vamanadev in front of everybody in the entire universe. So, then many demons achieved perfection. Bali Maharaj is continuing to speak to Vamanadev. He says that, O Lord, many demons achieved perfection by being killed by you. So you have delivered them. So, although we are demons, my dear Lord, you are specially affectionate towards us also. Although you are showing your inclination towards the demigods, oftentimes you are favorable to the demons also, because you kill the demons at times to deliver them. You killed Hiranyaksha, you killed Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahadev, Hiranyakashipu was killed by Narasimhadev. But Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were delivered and liberated only by the Lord. And now Bali Maharaj is apparently subdued by Vamanadev, but Vamanadev only showed mercy on Bali Maharaj. So I do not feel ashamed of being arrested by you or humiliated by you in this way. So my Prahalad Maharaj is my grandfather. So he was harassed in so many ways by his father Hiranyakashipu, but you always protected him. And now also you are protecting me. So all these material affairs are there. They are extremely detrimental to one's spiritual advancement. So you take away all these external attachments from a devotee to show some special favor to the devotee. So in the 9th shloka, Bali Maharaj says that Kimatmananena jahati yontataha kim riktaharaihi svajanakya dasyubhim kim jayaya samsriti hetu bhutaya martyasya gehaihi kimuhayusho vyayah. He says that kim atmananena jahati yontataha. Oh my dear Lord Vamanadev, what is the use of this material body? It will definitely leave the owner of the body at the end of life. Our body will not stay with us for a long time. Second line, he says, what is the use of all these relatives? Dasyubhi means relatives. So they are like plunderers of our wealth. Whatever we earn, whatever money that we earn with our hard labor is taken away by all the relatives and family members who are like plunderers. Then third, what is the use of a wife who increases material bondage? So, what is the use of even home or country or community that just merely wastes our time, valuable time? So, in this way, Bali Maharaj expressed a deep degree of detachment in front of Vamanadev and says that I am not feeling sorry that you have taken away everything from me. Then Bali Maharaj even offered gratitude to the Lord. My dear Lord, I am extremely grateful to you that you have taken away everything from me. So only by providence I have been forcibly brought under your lotus feet and was deprived of all my opulence. So this opulence brings an identity in the person that I am so wealthy, I am so powerful, I am so influential, I am so charitable. In this way, a person could identify himself with so many designations or identities because of attachment to this material wealth. So Bali Maharaj is actually grateful to Lord Vamanadev for taking away everything from him. He was not upset. So then, in that context, Prahalad Maharaj, the glorious grandfather of Bali Maharaj, arrived there. So, but Bali Maharaj could not offer obeisances to Prahalad because he was bound by the ropes of Varuna. He was arrested. Bali Maharaj was unable to even move his limbs, as you see in that picture when Prahalad Maharaj comes there. So Bali Maharaj could not offer respects to Prahalad, and Bali was even ashamed of being seen by Prahalad, because it would appear to Prahalad that Bali must have committed some offense because he was arrested by Vamanadev. So Prahalad also was overwhelmed upon seeing Prahalad and also the Supreme Lord and his associates. Prahalad was overwhelmed. So then Prahalad Maharaj started speaking to Vamanadev. So Prahalad said, oh my dear Lord Vamanadev, you have actually saved my grandchild Bali Maharaj. He says that you have taken away everything, you have taken the heavenly kingdom from my grandson, Bali Maharaj, and in this way you have shown some special mercy. Again, Acharya say, Yasyaham anugrahanami harishye tad dhanam shanaihi. So, when the Lord wants to show some special favor to his devotee, he will take away everything. Of course, there are some other devotees also, although they do not aspire for material wealth, the Lord will give them material wealth. So, Prahlad Maharaj offered prayers to Narasimhadev, and Narasimhadev told Prahlad Maharaj, take any benediction from me. And Prahlad said, my dear Lord, I am not a businessman, I am not doing business with you. Actually, I have performed devotional service unto you with absolutely no material expectations. I do not want to exchange, I do not want to offer my devotional service to you in exchange of some material benediction. If at all you want to give me some benediction, may I not have any material desires. So when Prahlad very boldly declared that he does not want anything, still Narasimhadev said, oh my dear Prahlad, you can rule as the king of demons for several thousands of years. For a Manvantara you can rule as the king of demons. So, and Prachetas also, they just asked from the Lord, oh my dear Lord, we want the association of your devotees and we want to hear Krishna Katha in the association of devotees. But the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, gave Prachetas unlimited bodily strength and an opportunity to rule the kingdom for several thousands of years to come. So in this way, when a devotee, when the Supreme Lord is confident that his devotee will not be distracted by any amount of material wealth, the Lord will give wealth to such a devotee. But if the Lord notices that having so much of wealth is not good for my devotee, would be even a distraction for my devotee in his bhakti, then the Lord will take away that wealth. So whether the Lord takes away wealth or gives wealth, the Lord is actually the supreme well-wisher of all his devotees. So the Lord has given wealth to Sudama and protected him from that identity of being a detached person, and the Lord has taken away all wealth from Bali Maharaj, and he has protected him from that pride of being a charitable person. And the Lord also has given wealth to so many devotees, and he has taken away wealth from other devotees just to keep them as devotees. So, and increase their longing for him. The Lord expects that his devotees are exclusively surrendered unto him, and they should not have any other botherations or identities in their minds. So the only identity that a pure devotee has is, I am an eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Hai Krishnera Nityadas. And all other designations are immaterial to a devotee, but if the devotee starts giving some importance to the secondary designations, the Lord will take away those designations if he wants to show special favor. So in this way, Prahlad was also acknowledging Lord Vamanadev's mercy upon Bali Maharaj. He says that material opulence is so bewildering that it takes away the good intelligence of even learned people also. Even learned people and self-controlled people also become deviated. They completely forget that their ultimate goal is self-realization when they are intoxicated by material wealth. So you have taken away that material wealth which has the potential of distracting a devotee. So my dear Vamanadev, I am very grateful to you. Prahlad acknowledged Vamanadev's mercy. Then later Bali Maharaj's wife came, Vindhyavali came. So this Vindhyavali also spoke. When Brahma actually was about to speak, so when Bali Maharaj was arrested, then Prahlad came and he spoke few words to Lord Vamanadev. Then Brahma was about to speak, at that time Vindhyavali came there. Because Vindhyavali was the wife of Bali Maharaj and she is a respectable woman, so Brahma took a low profile. Brahma allowed her to speak and he did not speak. So Vindhyavali started speaking to Vamanadev. She said, my dear Lord, fools claim proprietorship over your property. You are the supreme and ultimate proprietor of all the planetary systems and the entire universe and actually millions of universes. But this Bali Maharaj, my husband, thought that he is the proprietor of this universe. So foolish people actually claim proprietorship over your property. So everything belongs to you. How can anyone claim that something belongs to them? So, but foolish and shameless agnostic claim proprietorship So what good can they derive from you? What good can they do for you? You are the creator, maintainer and destroyer of the whole universe. So in this way, indirectly, even Vindhyavali also passed a comment on her own husband, Bali Maharaj. Prahalad also approved. Now you see, Prahalad is undergoing tremendous amount of embarrassment and humiliation. First, Lord Vamanadev has cheated him, arrested him, and demanded the third step, and told that Vamanadev, Bali Maharaj should go to hell for giving a false promise. And later, Prahalad Maharaj also told Vamanadev that whatever you have done to Bali Maharaj was appropriate. Even Vindhyavali is also telling the same thing. So nobody is taking the side of Bali Maharaj. Everybody is kind of saying that whatever Vamanadev has done is appropriate, and Bali Maharaj had to just experience this embarrassment in front of everyone for whatever he has done. So seeing all this, Brahma became very compassionate upon Bali Maharaj. Brahma took the side of Bali Maharaj like a lawyer and said that, my dear Vamanadev, please release Bali Maharaj. So this person has dedicated everything that he has for your pleasure. So even if somebody gives you an imitation offering, even if somebody worships you with some simple ingredients and some simple offerings, you are very pleased with them, and Bali Maharaj has offered the entire universe to you. Whatever he has given to you. He doesn't deserve this kind of treatment anymore, my dear Lord. Please show some mercy on this Bali. So he doesn't deserve to be humiliated so much further. Then Vamanadev heard Brahmaji's words also, and he started speaking about his own merciful nature. Vamanadev said, my dear Brahma, a dull-minded person puffed up of material opulence has no respect for anyone. He can even defy God also. So that's why a wealthy person is very proud. So human birth is very rare, and while rotating in the cycle of birth and death in different species due to karma, the living entity fortunately attains this human birth. So one has to utilize that human birth in a proper manner. Later in the 26th shloka, Vamanadev speaks about pridelessness. The Lord will make his devotee prideless. He says, Janma karma vayor rupa vidyaishvarya dhanadibhim yadyasya na bhavet stambha tatra yamadanugraha. Janma means high birth. Next, karma is good activities. Vaya, youth. Then rupa, beauty. Then vidya, aishwarya, education and opulence. Dhanadibhi, dhana is wealth. So these are great qualifications. These 7 things are great qualifications on a material plane. Yadyasya na bhavet stambhavaha. Stambha means despite possessing all these 7 great qualifications, if one does not become proud, please understand that such a personality has especially been bestowed by my mercy. So only by the mercy of the Lord one can become prideless, one can become humble despite having so much of material qualifications. So the Lord does not take away the opulence of a prideless person if that opulence does not harm that person. But the Lord will take away the opulence of a person who is a little proud of whatever he has. So material opulence does not disturb devotees, actually speaking. So he says, Manastambha nimittanam janmadinam samantataha sarvashreyaha pratipanam hanta muhyenna matparaha. In the 27th shloka he says that false prestige and impudence are caused by high birth and other such qualifications generally. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri will cause lot of impudence and pride and puffed up nature of a devotee. So they are impediments in spiritual advancement. They should not disturb a devotee. They will never disturb a devotee if one is totally fixed up in one's devotion. But if they become little distractions in the life of a devotee, the Lord will take away everything. Now, Vamanadev glorifies Bali Maharaj a lot. Vamanadev says that Bali Maharaj is the foremost amongst all the demons. He is the most famous personality. So he has surpassed the insurmountable Maya. In spite of being bereft of all opulences, he is fixed in his bhakti. So although Bali Maharaj has confidently told that I will give anything that you want, my dear Vamanadev accepted. Now that it has been proven that he cannot offer sufficient charity to Vamanadev, Bali Maharaj become very humbled, and of course Bali Maharaj has given, he has not actually not fulfilled the promise of the Lord. So Bali Maharaj has offered the place for his third step also. So thus Bali Maharaj has not compromised on his promise to Vamanadev in one sense. So the Lord will not cause any infamy to his devotee also. So Bali Maharaj was fixed in his vow of truthfulness in spite of being bereft of all riches, by being fallen from his position, being defeated and arrested by enemies, being rebuked by relatives, and be suffering the pain of being bound by Varuna Pasha, and also he was rebuked and even cursed by his guru. Bali Maharaj has been extremely tolerant and patient. So this quality of tolerance that Bali Maharaj has exhibited in this pastime has been glorified by Vamanadev. Vamanadev, by putting test to this Bali Maharaj in this way, in this episode, he has actually announced the greatness and tolerance of Bali Maharaj to the entire creation and for all time to come. Although this pastime has happened several yugas back, we are still discussing this pastime, the glory of Vamanadev, glory of Bali Maharaj. So Prabhupada writes in one purport that the greatness of a person has to be estimated by his ability to tolerate provoking situations. Here Bali Maharaj has been provoked, has been agitated, has been humiliated and embarrassed in front of so many people. He has been cheated also, but still Bali Maharaj exhibited a lot of tolerance, and Vamanadev is extremely pleased with Bali Maharaj for this tolerance, and Vamanadev appreciated the tolerance quality of Bali. So to glorify Bali Maharaj in this way, Vamanadev has enacted this pastime. So next, Vamanadev told Bali Maharaj, my dear Bali, you should go to Sutala planet. I am extremely impressed with your love and devotion and your complete offering and dedication to myself. So I will send you to Sutala planet now, and you can go to Sutala planet. I will personally become your doorkeeper, and with my Sudarshan Chakra, I will protect you from all kinds of calamities. Nobody can harm you. Nobody can attack you. I am personally there as your protector. And Vamanadev tells that you can go there along with your family members, and I am sure you will not be affected by any demonic association, because who are the associates of Bali Maharaj? Demons only. But still, Bali Maharaj, although he was born in the dynasty of demons and his associates were demons, he will not be affected by any demoniac qualities. Same is the case with Prahlad Maharaj also. So no demonic influence can affect you, my dear Bali, and I am very much impressed with you. And not only that, you have occupied heavenly planets now, and I have taken away all your heavenly planets, and I am giving these heavenly planets to Indra, Purandara. Purandara was Indra at that time. So, but in the next Manvantara, means the 8th Manvantara, you will become Indra. In the 23rd chapter, he says all this. So Bali Maharaj was totally overwhelmed by whatever Vamanadev has spoken. So Bali Maharaj just offers one prayer to Vamanadev. So Vamanadev has accepted to become the doorkeeper of Bali Maharaj in Sutala planet, being so captivated by the devotion of Bali. God is standing at the gate of his devotee as a doorkeeper, as a gatekeeper. God at the gate. Vamanadev is that God at the gate. So he is, Bali Maharaj is so fortunate to have Vamanadev as his direct well-wisher and supreme protector. So he was so overwhelmed. My dear Lord, you have given me so much. Bali Maharaj said to Vamanadev, you have given me so much, and although I have not even offered obeisances unto you. When Vamanadev came to Bali Maharaj's sacrificial arena, Bali Maharaj just offered obeisances. He wanted to offer obeisances, but because he was the king of demons and the demon guru is there, so many other personalities were there, it was not appropriate for him to just fall at the feet of this Brahmana boy. So Bali Maharaj just offered obeisances, thought of offering obeisances within his mind. So even that kind of little gesture and thought also brought a lot of fortune to Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is saying this, my dear Lord, I am extremely grateful to you. If I have actually offered obeisances to you, what you would have given to me. Even although I just thought of offering obeisances to you, still you have given me so much. If I have actually offered obeisances to you, what you would have given to me. So Bali Maharaj expressed his gratitude like this. Then later Prahalad also offered prayers to Vamanadev. He says, my dear Lord, your kindness is really matchless and your mercy is inconceivable. You are like a desire tree. Then Vamanadev spoke to Prahalad Maharaj, my dear son, all good fortune is there unto you. You can also go to Sutala planet. So along with your grandson and relatives, you reside in Sutala planet. I will be there personally to give you darshan. So and all the demons entered Sutala planet. Later, Vamanadev questioned Sukracharya. Dear Sukracharya, what discrepancies are there in your disciple Bali Maharaj's sacrifice now? So can you just analyze his discrepancies? Then Sukracharya in the 15th verse of this chapter, he speaks very beautifully, my dear Lord, Kutastat karma vaishamyam yasya karmeshwaro bhavan yagnesho yagna purushaha sarva bhavena pujitaha. You are asking me, Sukracharya is telling Vamanadev, oh Lord, you are asking me what discrepancies are there in my disciples' sacrifice or worship. There are absolutely no discrepancies. Where is the scope of any defects? When you are personally present as the master of all rituals, as the enjoyer of all sacrifices, because you are personally present in my disciples' sacrificial arena, everything is auspicious, there are no defects. And he speaks the most beautiful shloka. In the 16th shloka, he even glorifies the holy name also. He says, Mantratas tantratas chhidram desha kalarha vastutah sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam tava. Mantratah tantratah chhidram. Then desha kalartha vastutah. There may be some faults in chanting of the mantras, there may be faults in observing rules, and there may be faults in regards to time, place, circumstances, and many other paraphernalia and many other details of conducting a sacrifice. But anusankirtanam tava sarvam karoti nischidram. When somebody chants the holy names of the Supreme Lord Krishna, then all the faults will disappear completely. There may be hundreds of discrepancies in terms of time, place, mantras, this and that other details, but all the discrepancies are removed to the degree one chants the holy name of the Lord. So that is the power of holy name of the Lord. So yet I must follow this order that you have given me. I will complete the sacrifice of my disciple Bali Maharaj. And he completed. So then Vamanadev was glorified as the supreme protector, and he is also called Upendra because he was born from Aditi and Kashyapa. Indra was the son of Aditi and Kashyapa, and Vamanadev is born as the younger brother of Aditi and Kashyapa, younger brother of Indra, so he is called Upendra. Then all the heavenly residents and everyone glorified Vamanadev, and they worshipped Vamanadev, and heavenly planets were given back to the demigods, and Indra resided as the king of the heavenly planets. So whoever hears this beautiful narration of Bali Maharaj will get the great fortune of even entering the spiritual world also. They can go back to Godhead also. He says, Yayidam deva devasya harer adbhuta karmanaha avataranacharitam srinvan yati param gatim. So Sukadeva Goswami, as a part of Falashruti, he says that Yayidam deva devasya harer adbhuta karmanaha. Whoever hears this beautiful narration of the Supreme Lord Vamanadev's adbhuta karma, he will definitely attain the param gatim, the supreme abode of the Supreme Lord. So that completes the episode of Vamanadev and Bali Maharaj. So we completed 23 chapters. There is another chapter, 24th chapter in this episode, in this 8th canto, the last chapter, that describes the Matsyavatara, the incarnation of the Supreme Lord as a gigantic fish. So we will discuss this. So in the beginning of this 24th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami, "O Lord, I wish to hear about the first incarnation of Lord Hari as Matsya." So, because Sukadeva Goswami glorified Vamanadev, Vamanadev is an incarnation of that Supreme Lord who appeared in the form of a beggar to beg 3 pieces of land. So then Parikshit Maharaj remembered another similar incarnation, Matsya, who in the form of fish, which is considered actually condemned species. So the Lord did not become only beggar, he also became a fish. So beggar's position is not very much appreciated. Similarly, fish is also not a very appreciated species, actually speaking. But the Lord has taken the form of a beggar and he has taken the form of a fish also. So Parikshit Maharaj became inquisitive to know about the fish incarnation of the Lord. So why did the Lord seemingly accept an abominable form of a fish? I want to understand this fact. Then Sukadeva Goswami started speaking. Very beautifully he speaks in the 5th shloka. He says, Go viprasura sadhunam chandasam apicheshwaraha raksham ichham stanurdhatte dharmasyarthasya chaivahi. He says that the Lord incarnates in various forms to protect the cows. Go viprasura sadhunam. Go means cows, Vipra means Brahmanas, Sura means demigods, Sadhus means devotees. To protect these categories of these 4 categories of personalities, the Supreme Lord appears in various incarnations. And he says, Uchchavacheshu bhuteshu charanvayur iveshwaraha nochavachatam bhajate nirgunatva dhiyo gunaihi. The Supreme Lord is nirguna. He has no material qualities. But still he appears in various species, sometimes lower species, sometimes higher species. Sometimes he appears as a Brahmana, sometimes he appears as a animal or fish also. So that does not affect the Lord. The Lord, when he appears as a fish, Matsyavatar, he is the most beautiful fish. When the Lord appears as a hog also is the most beautiful hog. That is Varaha Avatar, Matsya Avatar. All the incarnations of the Lord are extremely beautiful and they are transcendental beyond the material modes. Then, after glorifying the Lord's incarnations in this way, Sukadeva Goswami describes the first appearance of Matsya Avatar. Just as Lord appeared as Varaha twice, as in the Swayambhu Manvantara, the Lord appeared as Shweta Varaha or Adi Varaha and he protected the earth. And in Chakshusha Manvantara, Lord again appeared as Varaha, Neela Varaha, Rakta Varaha, and he even killed Hiranyaksha also. So there are 2 Varaha incarnations. Similarly, there are 2 Matsya incarnations. The Lord also appeared as Matsya Avatar twice. So in the first appearance of Matsya, in the previous day of Brahma, the 3 worlds were inundated in the water of annihilation. So as Brahmaji felt sleepy, the Vedas emanating from his mouth were stolen by a demon named Hayagriva. So the Lord appeared as a fish incarnation and he has taken the Vedas from Hayagriva demon, and he has given that Vedas back to Brahma. So that is the first Matsya incarnation. Now second Matsya incarnation took place in the Chakshusha Manvantara. So there was a great king named Satyavrata during the Chakshusha Manvantara. So the 6th Manvantara, in the 6th Manvantara this happened. So Satyavrata Maharaj, he is also called Shraddha Deva, or this Satyavrata king, he becomes Shraddha Deva in the next Manvantara. He is also called Vaivasvata Manu. So by the Lord's mercy, this Shraddha Deva becomes Manu. So Satyavrata Maharaj is a great devotee of the Lord. He performed so many austerities subsisting only on water. At present in the 7th Manvantara, he became the son of Vivaswan. So this Satyavrata Maharaj, he became Vaivasvata Manu in the 7th Manvantara. Satyavrata was a king in 6th Manvantara. He became a Manu in the 7th Manvantara. So in the 7th Manvantara, this Satyavrata king appeared as the son of Vivaswan or sun god. So that's why he is called Vaivasvata. And the Manvantara is also called Vaivasvata Manvantara. So during the 6th Manvantara, when this Vaivasvata Manu was Satyavrata, he went to a river, and he was the king of Dravida Desha. He was offering water on the bank of this river named Kritamala. So he took little water in his hand to offer oblations. Then a small little fish came in his palms. Then Satyavrata just offered the water back and then again tried to take water. Again the fish came in his hands. So Satyavrata Maharaj was trying to throw that fish in the water, but the fish said, I have taken your shelter, my dear king. Why are you throwing me back into this water? Actually, this huge water body, this great river has so many aquatics. I am afraid of those aquatics. They may eat me. There were so many big fish that can eat small fish. So this fish started speaking to Satyavrata. Satyavrata was extremely astonished. How can a fish speak? But still it was speaking. So Satyavrata Maharaj, he gave shelter to the fish. Don't worry, I will protect you. So Satyavrata Maharaj took that fish and kept that fish in a small jug of water. So in very short time, the fish has become so big that it has occupied the entire jug. Then Satyavrata Maharaj took that fish and threw it in a well. And within a short time, the fish grew so big that it has occupied the entire well. Then Satyavrata Maharaj took that fish and then put him in a lake. And within a short time, this fish has occupied the entire lake also. Then Satyavrata Maharaj put the fish in an ocean. Then he also realized that you are not an ordinary fish. You must be a great personality. In fact, you are the supreme personality of Godhead. You must be Vishnu. Otherwise, an ordinary small fish cannot become such a gigantic fish that can occupy an entire lake. And it is so gigantic that it is looking significantly even in a great ocean also. So then Satyavrata Maharaj spoke to the fish. Then Satyavrata Maharaj understood that this fish is not different from the Supreme Lord, and he offered prayers to the Lord. Then Lord Matsyavatar started speaking to Satyavrata. He said that, my dear Satyavrata Maharaj, there would be an imminent inundation. The entire universe is getting inundated now. It's a partial inundation. So he told that on the 7th day from now, the 3 worlds, Bhur, Bhuvaha, Swaha. So the Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka and Svargaloka, these 3 worlds would be inundated, will just merge in the water of devastation. So I will be sending a boat. You should put all the herbs and valuable commodities in the boat, and also other sages also should accompany you. All of you should go on the boat, and I will take you across the waters of inundation, across the ocean of devastation. So Satyavrata Maharaj was very much surprised, and he started waiting for the time set by Matsyavatar. So right on the 7th day, the waters were inundating the land, and there was a huge rain. So the 7 sages, great sages, and also Satyavrata Maharaj, and so much of valuable paraphernalia was there. So a boat has come on its own, and Satyavrata Maharaj boarded the boat along with all this paraphernalia, and he also made the sages sit there. And the boat was tied to the horn of this fish, and Satyavrata Maharaj was being taken by this fish on the ocean of inundation. So while this fierce inundation was going on, Matsyavatar started giving divine teachings to Satyavrata Maharaj and all the great sages and Brahmanas. So Satyavrata Maharaj actually offered beautiful prayers to Matsyavatar. He actually glorified Matsyavatar as the Supreme Guru. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Guru who can destroy all material desires, and service to the Lord destroys our ignorance, and the Lord's mercy is greater than anyone else's mercy. And all the foolish seekers just seek material enjoyment, while intelligent people take shelter of the Supreme Lord. And materialistic gurus teach material enjoyment, while the Supreme Lord, in the form of Guru, he will speak about spiritual subject matters. So people do not surrender unto the Lord, unfortunately, but Satyavrata Muni says, my dear Lord, I surrender unto you. So in this way, Satyavrata Maharaj praised Matsyavatar, and Matsyavatar gave divine teachings to Satyavrata Maharaj and all the sages, and he even spoke all the Puranas, and finally the Lord protects this Satyavrata Maharaj. So during the Chakshusha Manvantara, Satyavrata was endowed with all knowledge by Lord Matsya, and in the present Manvantara, in the Vaivasvata Manvantara, that Satyavrata Maharaj has become Manu. So he has become Vaivasvata. So whoever hears this transcendental narration will not have any sinful reactions. So in this way we have completed the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the 8th canto of Bhagavatam is rich with so many beautiful pastimes of devotees like Gajendra and even demigods also, Bali Maharaj and Satyavrata Maharaj. And 8th canto also describes various incarnations of the Lord as Hari, Sahasrabahu, Ajita, and also Vamanadev, Kurmavatar, then Mohini Murti and Matsyavatar. So many other avatars are also described in this beautiful canto. And the main theme of this canto is Manvantara. So we have discussed the Manvantaras that have already passed in the past 6 Manvantaras, and the current 7th Manvantara and the future 7 Manvantaras are also described. The main 6 personalities in each of these Manvantaras are described by Sukadeva Goswami, and that is the completion of 8th canto. And in the next episode we will begin the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you all very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.